When we first moved into the house where I grew up, I began to hear strange things, specifically, voices calling my name from the opposite end of the house. I would be in my room, playing with Legos or something, and suddenly, I'd hear my dad call my name from his room. Dutifully, I'd go to my parents' bedroom and ask them what they wanted, but they'd always tell me that they hadn't called my name. This happened about once every few days, and as a little kid, I started to think they were playing some sort of joke on me. One night, it happened again. I heard my name and went to ask what they wanted, like always. But just as I stepped into their room, I heard my mom's voice calling for me from the living room, which was all the way on the other side of the house. At that moment, I knew no one was tricking me because I was standing right in front of both of my parents, watching them. For a long time, I kept this to myself. It wasn't until later that my brother was diagnosed with partial narcolepsy, a condition that can cause auditory hallucinations. For a while, I thought maybe I had it too, so I got myself checked out. But the results came back clear. I was completely fine. So, I still have no idea what was calling my name all those years. Even now, whenever I visit and stay over, I still hear that voice at night. When I was very young, I had awesome parents who let me sleep in the living room on weekend nights. My sister was a light sleeper, so this arrangement allowed me to stay up until dawn without disturbing her. However, I often ended up falling asleep on the couch, lulled by late-night shows on Nick at Night. One night, I was jolted awake by a prickly, instinctual feeling. I immediately sat up and stared out the front window. Living in rural Georgia, our property was surrounded by a dense forest of trees. In the perfect moonlight, I saw the silhouette of someone perched in one of those trees. Our family dog dashed to the window, snarling fiercely at the mysterious figure. Terrified, I ran to my parents' room and frantically explained that there was a strange person outside. My dad grabbed something for defense and darted outside with the dogs, ready to confront the intruder. I clung to my mom, trembling, until Dad returned. He said he hadn't seen anyone and told me to go back to bed. Deciding not to sleep in the living room again, I went to my regular bedroom and filled my sister in on what had happened. Dad stayed up, making regular rounds through the house with a cup of coffee in hand. As the household settled, I finally thought, I can sleep now. But sleep wouldn't come. Glancing towards my window, I noticed the same man standing outside. In the moonlight, I could see him clearly as he put a finger to his lips in a shushing gesture before turning around and running straight into the woods. I swear, I couldn't stop crying for what felt like hours. This happened to me last summer while I was staying at my parents' house during the holidays. It was around 3 a.m., and I was in my room on my computer when I suddenly received a call from my sister. That alone was odd since her room is just down the hallway from mine. She could have easily walked over to talk to me in person. I reached for my phone to answer, but the call ended just as I picked up. I figured she wanted to speak with me, so I got up and headed to her room. As soon as I reached her door, she started screaming that someone was in the room with her. I panicked and burst into the room, but there was no one there. After she calmed down, she told me she had woken up to see a dark shadow just centimeters from her face, which is what made her scream. I then told her about the call, but she insisted that she hadn't called me. She said her phone wasn't even in the room, it was downstairs in her purse. Sure enough, when we checked, her phone was still in her purse. The strange thing is, I had the call log on my phone, showing she had called me, but there was no record of it on her phone. To this day, I've never been able to explain what happened that night.